What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome to 4th and 25 Thursday edition. We're Jram. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're staying cool. Hope you're staying safe out there. You're not letting the heat kick your butt like it's been doing mine. Y'all ever had a really good dessert that just continues to blow your socks away? Have you ever had a really good dessert that you love? Well, my missus makes good strawberry shortcake. And this was my pregame meal. I had strawberry shortcake. It was amazing. Thank you, honey. I love you. My wife is awesome. All right, guys, welcome in. So, we got a loaded show today. Um, First things first, before we get into our main stuff, I want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of schools with some throwback uniforms that were mentioned. I don't normally talk about uniforms on here, but some of these that caught my eye, they were just so cool. Uh, I have to share it with you. Let's see. Let me pull it up. Oh, okay. Here we go. Let's pull these up. I meant to pull the article up, but all right. So, how about this one? This is Boise State. They are celebrating 40 years of blue with this one of a kind anniversary helmet. They are going to wear this helmet on September 12th against Memphis. These are sharp. I freaking love these. Got the old school looking Boise State logo kind of in there. These are dope, man. I freaking love these. So shout out to Boise. They're going to wear these. Make sure I told you right. Yep, September 12th in that matchup against Memphis. Potentially a really good G6 matchup, too, by the way. So that's Boise State. Love those helmets. Nicely done. Um, Also in the Pac-12. How about check these out? Shout out to Utah State. These are cool. These are the 1992 through 1995 logo for their homecoming game on September 26th. I believe they're playing Troy that day. Let's see if I can pull their schedule up real quick. I'll let you know. These are really, really cool too. Let's see, September 26th. Yep, against Troy. That's it. Okay. Yeah, those are really short. Kind of looks like Utah's U, but this was their helmet in the early 90s from 92 through 95. So really, really nice. I got to give them credit there. Very cool looking. All right. And then finally, these are actually just throwback uniforms. I want to give a shout out to one of our SEC brothers, the Missouri Tigers. These are pretty daggum cool. They are going to wear these, I believe. There you go. Mizzou is going to wear these for their game September 19th against Troy. I guess everybody's breaking out the throwbacks against Troy. But yeah, here's Missouri's throwback uniforms. These are the 100th anniversary of their Memorial Stadium uniforms. Really, really cool. Love the old gold and white stripes on them. Really like that M. Look at that small M. Jerseys look cool though, man. These are awesome. I got to give Mizzou credit. Awesome looking uniforms. Can't wait to see them against Troy on September 19th. All right, so some uniform shout outs. Those are really, really cool. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate y'all checking me out. I'm on YouTube now, 4th and 25. We are live on there. Please give me a like and subscribe if you want to. We're on College Sports Villains, of course. Appreciate Andrew and the guys for having me as always. All right, let's get into one of our. We got two, actually three now, but we got two main things. We're going to jump in. Let's finish up team rankings. We did offensive rankings on Tuesday. Today we're going to do defense and special teams. So let's get this thing started. Defensive line, yeah, okay. Defensive line. So top 10 defensive lines entering the season and G5 top 5. So number 5 from the G5 schools, I've got Miami, Ohio's defensive line. They're led by Micah Coleman, who started 12 games last year, had 33 tackles. There's Marcus Moore. He had 31 tackles at Akron in 2024, but he redshirted last year, so he's new to Chuck Martin and the Redhawks defense. Number 4, we've got Memphis. A lot of transfers on this defense. Actually, no returning starters. This is a whole new D line, but I'm taking a shot here with Memphis with the portal additions. A lot of Southern Miss transfers, I guess I should say. I mean, when Charles Oak was their head coach, he came with them to Memphis. Elijah Kinzer, 4 games last year at Southern Miss. Jaden McKinney, he played in 13 games and 27 tackles for Southern Miss. Also at Southern Miss, Jamon Tapp, who previously had been at Texas and Arizona State, but then last year he was at Hattiesburg with 12 starts, 70 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 10 quarterback hits, and he was a first-team All-Sun Belt choice for the Golden Eagles. Also from Hattiesburg to Memphis, Jabari Ismail. He had 6 starts last year for the Golden Eagles, 21 tackles. Taylor Burton, he comes from UT Martin, where he played in 20 games the last 2 years, 19 tackles, 5 tackles for loss. A couple of other guys to make note of. Jamari Manette, he comes from Memphis, from Indiana, 11 games, 4 tackles. KJ Miles, he comes from Temple, where he had 36 tackles in 3 years, also 3.5 tackles for loss. Joseph Head, he comes to Memphis from Mississippi State, where he played in 24 games with 19 tackles. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Let me go back to Miami, Ohio here for a minute. Micah Coleman, Marcus Moore, Grant Lyons. He had 2 sacks last year for the Redhawks. Branch Rice, 4 starts, 16 tackles. Roosevelt Andrews, he has 13 starts with them, 19 tackles, 4 for loss. James Schott, he had 18 tackles, 14 games played, 3.5 sacks for the Redhawks. Xavier Scott, 14 tackles, 2 sacks. William Goodvine, 11 games, 5 tackles. Okay, so we went through Memphis, Miami, Ohio. So our number 3 G6 defensive line, almost put them at 1, but I settled with them here. My number 3 D line entering the season out of the G6 is Boise State. They have a very nice 2-headed combo with Max Stedge. I hope I said that right. He's played in 38 games, 43 tackles, 4 sacks in the last 3 years. Also 8 tackles for loss. But the unquestioned leader of this defensive line is Jaden Virgin Morgan. He's got NFL written all over him. If he don't go NFL and come back to college. More on that later. Anyway, Jaden Virgin Morgan, 34 starts in his career at Boise, 120 tackles, 16 sacks, 15 tackles for loss in the last 3 years on the blue turf. Along with those two, you've got David Latu. He's played in 12 games, a little less experienced, but 9 tackles. Kyle Edward, he's played in 27. He's a transfer, I'm sorry. Played in 27 games. He's got 66 tackles, 8 sacks, and 3.5 tackles for loss in his career. He comes from Central Washington, where he's been there for the last 3 years. I believe that's a D2 score. Roman K. Wood, he played in 13 games last year with 11 tackles, 3 for loss. A couple other guys for depth pieces. You got Lopez Sanusi. He's played in 15 games, 14 tackles, a sack last 2 years. Michael Madry, he's played in 20 games, 14 tackles. And then, I hope I'm saying this guy's name right, Bull. He had 10 games, 8 tackles for the Broncos last year. All right, our number 2 defensive line in the G6 entering the season. This goes to Fresno State. They've got Mordecai Hines. Played in 15 games last year, had 2.5 sacks, 13 tackles. DJ Lafite, 11 starts, 25 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 passes deflected, and 3 QB hurries last year. Jazon Jacks, he's been there for 4 years, where he's racked up 63 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3.5 for a loss. Let's see, Mahadi Eggs-Pera. In the last 3 years at Fresno, he has 6 starts in his career, but 34 games appeared in, 37 tackles and a sack. Also in this group, you've got Sacramento State transfer Dylan Hampton. He's got 14 starts where he was there. In the last 2 years, 58 tackles, 9 sacks, 8.5 tackles for loss. Nice little piece for them on their D-line through the portal. Also, Martin Owuzu. He's been there. He's got 9 starts in his career last year, 22 tackles, a couple of hurries. And then a couple of other guys, less experienced, but some solid depth pieces. You've got Auckland Azita, 13 games, 6 tackles, 2 years. And Logan Goodspeed, 3 games in his career last year with a couple of tackles. Okay, and then finally, our number 1 G6 defensive line entering the season. Kind of rebuilt, but they still got some solid pieces I like. And number 1, James Madison. Amar Thomas, he is back. He was honorable mention Sun Belt last season. 14 starts, 43 tackles, 6.5 for loss. Good part on that defensive line. You got Louisiana Tech transfer Kels Bush. He comes with 20 games, 18 tackles in 2 years. You've also got some more transfers. You got Trone Simpson. I hope I said his name right. He comes from Lamar, where over there he had 17 starts, 71 tackles, 4 sacks in the last 2 years. Also from Nichols, you got Rasheed Lovelace. He had 27 games there with 92 tackles, 7 tackles for loss in a 3-year span. How about a D2 transfer? Danny Royster. He comes from Indianapolis University, where he had 36 tackles and 7.5 sacks last year. He comes to JMU. And then our other 3 I've got on here are also transfers. From Western Kentucky, Chuck Wanadu Akiki. He played a little bit there, but not a lot. Kevin Roberts, he comes from West Florida, the FC, which is now FCS. He had 12 games, 45 tackles, 9 sacks last year at West Florida. Really good season. And then from D2 Emory and Henry College, Mason Pearl comes to JMU, where last year he had 42 tackles and 7 tackles for loss. Okay, so that's our G6 top 5 on defensive lines. Give me a second. I take a swig of some beverage. Okay, let's go to the big boys. Our number 10 defensive line entering the season. I've actually got 2 because one of these is really talented and I just could not put it past me to leave them out. So, first, number 10, Minnesota. If you have not seen Minnesota's defensive line, you're missing something. This is a good group. It is led, of course, by the stud Anthony Smith. This dude's one of the best D linemen in college football entering the season. In his career at Minnesota, he had 16 starts, 81 tackles, 19.5 sacks. This man last year had 12.5 sacks alone. 11.5 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups over a 4-year career. Like I say, 19.5 sacks in 4 years is really good. 12.5 last season. I think he led the country, or he was close to the top. But anyway, really good D lineman for the Golden Gophers. Also, you've got T.J. Bush, who comes over from Cal. He had 13 starts there with 40 tackles, 5.5 sacks. Before that, he was at Liberty for 2 years, where he also had 7.5 sacks. From Marshall, Naquan Crowder comes in. He had 26 tackles, 2 starts in 2 years with Marshall. A couple other guys who's been in Minnesota. Riley Sunrum, 8 games, 2 tackles. Jackson Howard, 10 starts in his career with 38 tackles and 4 sacks. Jalen Hicks, 7 games played, 3 tackles. Zion Chapman, he's an FIU transfer. At FIU last year, he had 4 starts, 15 tackles, and 2 sacks. Mo Amanud, 32 tackles, 3.5 sacks the last 3 years at Purdue. So in conference transfer, he comes to Minnesota from Purdue. Amode, I hope I said that right. And then lastly, I made note of Carter Mintz, 32 tackles, 6.5 sacks the last 2 years for the Gophers. Okay, the other number 10 is Indiana, the defending national champions. This is going to be one of their strongest groups on their team this year as they look to defend that national championship. Here's some of the guys on Indiana's D-line. Kansas State transfer Chidi Obazor, where the last 3 years at K-State, he had 46 tackles, 6 sacks, and 4 tackles for loss. By the way, if anybody wonders where I get my stats and stuff from, Bill Still, best magazine in the business. Anyway, Chidi Obazor, Kansas State, 4 tackles for loss, 6 sacks last 3 years, 46 tackles. Also, you got Tyreek Tucker. He's back where he started all 16 games last year, 64 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss the last 2 years that he's been in Bloomington. Also back is Mario Landino. In the last 2 years, he's played in 28 games with 41 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups. Kansas State transfer, another Kansas State transfer. That's right, Indiana got 2 of them. Toby Asante. Anyway, he was really good at K-State. His last 4 years, he's been there 36 games, 50 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. You got Notre Dame transfer Josh Burnham on the 2 deep. He's played in 15 starts at South Bend, 40 games, 65 tackles, 6 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. That was in a 4-year span with the Irish. A G6 transfer, you got Joe Hajeli. He comes from Tulsa, where in 12 games he had 46 tackles, 2.5 sacks for the Golden Hurricane last season, and 2 tackles for loss. And then a couple other guys. You got Daniel Ndokwe.
He's played in 27 games the last 2 years with 14 tackles and 2 sacks. And some young players who are also in this position ranked in the top 200 in their respective high school rankings. Not a lot of high school recruiting in Indiana. They're known for its more portal, but they do have some young guys who are still good prospects. Okay, number 9, defensive line. Let's go to Georgia. You've got Gabe Harris, who's back in the last 3 years, 14 starts, 49 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. Xavier McLeod, 6 starts, 17 tackles last season. Elijah Griffin, 22 tackles and a sack last year, 1.5 tackles for loss. Quintavious Johnson, 14 starts last year, 35 tackles, 6 for loss. You got Joseph Johnny, 9 tackles last year. Some of these names are so hard to pronounce. Nnamdi Agboko, 10 games, 13 tackles last year. Jordan Hall, 8 starts, 12 tackles, 2 tackles for loss last year. Josh Horton, 14 games, 11 tackles last year. Amaris Williams. I also made note of Amaris Williams. He was injured in the spring. We're not sure on his status, if he's going to be back this year. He might be out for the year, but he was an Auburn transfer. Really good player. Was expected to contribute, but unfortunately he was injured in the spring. Okay, let's move to number 8. This is where we go to Michigan. Number 8 is Michigan on this list. Trey Pierce, last 3 years in Ann Arbor, 14 starts, 39 tackles, 2 quarterback hurries. The big piece of this group was from the portal, as John Henry Daly comes from Utah. He follows Kyle Whittingham. This dude was a monster last year for Utah. He was all Big 12, 11 starts, 52 tackles, 12.5 sacks in his career. He got 11.5 of them last year. So he's been at Utah 2 years, 52 tackles, 12.5 sacks, 11.5 last year. But John Henry Daly, one of the best in the country last year. Let's see how he transitions into the Big 10. Also in this group, Dominic Nichols, 17 games, 21 tackles last 2 years. Enel Etta, 26 games, 20 tackles, 7 hurries. That's in the last 3 years. Cameron Brandt, last 3 years, 40 games, 39 tackles, 3.5 sacks. Jonah Lee, 13 starts, 40 tackles last 3 years. He's also, of course, a Utah transfer. He comes with Daly and Whittingham. Nate Marshall, he appeared in 11 games last year, 6 tackles. And then an FCS transfer from South Dakota State, one of the FCS best programs. Randy Kiyumung, 38 games, 19 tackles the last 4 years at South Dakota State. All right, our number 7 defensive line. We're going to go to Oxford. This is where Ole Miss is. I got Ole Miss number 7 on my defensive lines. Led, of course, by Will Eccles, 4th-team All-American last year, 15 starts, 68 tackles, 5 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss. Also in this group, Cam Franklin. He started all 15 last year with 69 tackles, 5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Jamarius Brown, 28 games appeared, 44 tackles, 4 tackles for loss last 2 years. Some transfers that they added here. You've got from Nevada, Jonathan Maldonado, 14 starts last 2 years with Nevada, 64 tackles and 6.5 sacks. From LSU, Micah Buru, he had 9 starts the last 2 years for the Tigers with 35 tackles, 2 sacks. Jaheim Otis, he comes from Colorado, and he was at Alabama before that. But at Colorado last year, he had just 5 tackles. Andrew Maddox comes out. He's on the depth chart. He played 11 games last year, 6 tackles. And then a couple other guys with not much experience, but provide depth. Jaden Curtis and Paris Evans. Should be a really good D-line in Oxford. Our number 6 D-line. This one sustained a few losses, but I think they reloaded pretty good. Your number 6 D-line is the Miami Hurricanes. Excuse me. All right, number 6, Miami. Damon Wilson. He is of course, the transfer from Missouri. This dude was a beast at Mizzou. 12 starts last year, 23 tackles, 9 sacks. Really good get, I think, for Miami. Also in the group, some guys that are back. Armando Blunt, 15 games, 17 tackles, 2.5 sacks. Amon Moulton, 14 starts, 31 tackles, 4.5 sacks. Tackled for loss last year. Justin Scott, he had 9 starts, 26 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. Herbert Scroggins, 11 games appeared, 4 tackles. And a couple more transfers. You got Keanu Davis. He's from Nebraska, where last year he started 12 games, 32 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss. An Ohio State transfer, Jarquez Carter. He only appeared in 6 games for the Buckeyes. And then finally, I made a note of Marquise Lightfoot, 25 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss for the Canes. So that's your number 6 D line. Give me just a second. I want to share this. I did not share this in 2 places. Let me click on that real quick and do that. There we go. Oh. Sorry, Andrew messaged me. I'll get back to you in a little minute, Andrew. But yeah, I'll try to come on tonight. Number 5, defensive line, Notre Dame. So I've got Boubacar Traore. Start with him. 13 starts, 48 tackles, 9.5 sacks last 2 years for the Irish. Also, you got Jason Onye, 27 starts, 50 tackles, 3.5 sacks last 3 years. Bryce Young, no, not the one that plays quarterback. 43 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups the last 2 years. Some transfers they added. You got Tyone Gray. He comes from Oregon, where last year he had 3 starts for the Ducks with 18 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Keon Keeley, he comes to Notre Dame from Alabama, where last year he had 16 tackles and 3 sacks for the Tide in 13 games. Francis Brew, he comes from Pittsburgh to Notre Dame, where he started 12 of their games. I forgot to play the bowl. 36 tackles and 7 tackles for loss. Armel Mukum, a little less experience, 11 games appeared, 4 tackles. And then finally, Logan Thomas, last 2 years, he's had 9 tackles in 26 games. Also got him as 1.5 sacks for the Fighting Irish. Excuse me, y'all. All right, number 4, we go to Oklahoma. This unit, of course, led by David Stone. 42 tackles, 8 tackles for loss last year on many people's All-American list. You've got Taylor Wine. Last year, he had 8 starts, 39 tackles, 7 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. You got Jaden Jackson. Last 2 years, he has 16 starts, 58 tackles, 3 sacks. Danny Okoye, 11 games, 6 tackles, and 2 sacks last year. Adepoju Adebawore, 36 games, 27 tackles, 5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss last 3 years. From UTSA, you got Kenny Azawu, 10 starts, 17 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss last year. He's a transfer. He comes from UTSA to Oklahoma. Really good year last year with 3 sacks, 17 tackles, and 10 starts. Also a transfer, Bishop Thomas. He comes from Georgia State, where he had 48 tackles, 1.5 sacks. And then I didn't put these guys' names, but you got high school prospects that were ranked number 8, number 26, 68, 73, and 93rd in their respective rankings that are all waiting for their chance to shine as they provide depth pieces, but could give Oklahoma a glimpse of their future on D-line. Number 3, D-line. That goes to the Texas Longhorns. Obviously, this starts with Colin Simmons. This dude is All-American written all over him. He had 9 sacks in 2024, but then last year he started 13 games, 43 tackles, 12 sacks. So he's got 21 sacks in 2 years, pretty much with the Longhorns. Also in the group, Henry Canu. He had 12 starts last year, 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Alex January, 8 starts last year with 19 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Lance Jackson, 16 tackles last year, 2 sacks. Murad Watson, this was the cat they got from Syracuse 2 years ago. When he was there, he had 31 tackles and 11 starts. Now, last year at Texas, 6 starts, 23 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss. Transfer Ian Jafford. He comes from Arkansas to Texas. Last 2 years with the Hogs, he had 12 games played, 38 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss. A couple of other guys, Zena Yamozu, 13 tackles, 2 sacks last year, and Brad Spence, who had 21 tackles and 3 sacks last year for the Longhorns, giving them a really strong defensive line. All right, number 2, Ohio State. Keeler Russell, he's an Alabama transfer. Last 2 years at Bama, he had 9 starts, 22 games, 50 tackles, 2 sacks, also 2 interceptions. 5 quarterback hits for the Tide. Now he is, of course, one of the leaders of Ohio State's group. Also in this group, UCF transfer John Walker. He had 13 starts, 64 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and 4 hits his last 3 years with the Knights. Edric Houston, last 2 years, 28 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 pass breakups. Last 4 years, Kenyatta Jackson. He's been at Ohio State, 14 starts for him, 44 games, 53 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. Some other guys, Will Smith, the last 2 years, he's been there with 21 tackles in 20 games. Appeared. Jason Moore, 16 games appeared, 8 tackles last 2 years. Another Alabama transfer. So weird to be in a world where Alabama players are transferring to Ohio State, but it is what it is. James Smith, 50 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 7 quarterback hits last 3 years with the Tide. Zion Grady, 10 games, 13 tackles, a sack last year. Nate Riggle, 11 games, 2 tackles. He's a transfer from Ohio. He was with the Bobcats last year. All right, and then finally, our number 1 defensive line, Oregon. I think there's a lot of people that love this D-line. But Oregon, all 4 starters are back on this group. You've got Mateo Ugalani, 25 starts, 42 games played last 3 years with 90 tackles, 18.5 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss, 8 pass breakups. Phenomenal player. Amari Washington, last 3 years, 37 games, 45 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. Also deflected 10 passes. Always a good stat. You've got Bear Alexander, who last year at Oregon, 12 starts, 50 tackles, 6.5 for loss. Also before that had played at USC and Georgia, so he's making his way around the Blue Bloods. DeAndre Robertson, he's a North Carolina transfer. Last year for the Heels, he had 39 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and now he's in Eugene. A couple other guys, Titodon Tiote, 29 starts, 42 games last 3 years, 156 tackles, 17 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections. Nasir Wyatt, last year, 15 games, 11 tackles, 3 sacks. Tony Cumberland, the number 10 ranked prospect out of high school, waiting for his chance. And then Jerome Simmons, a Louisiana Martyr transfer. He had 10 tackles last year for the Warhawks. All right. So that is our defensive line rankings. Here it is for you one final time before we go to linebacking rooms. G6 top 5, you got Miami, Ohio checking in at 5. Memphis 4, I got Boise 3, Fresno State 2, JMU, my number 1 G6 D-line. Overall top 10, I put Indiana and Minnesota on this list because I think they're both really good. Georgia 9, Michigan is 8, Ole Miss 7, Miami 6, Notre Dame 5, Oklahoma 4, Texas 3, Ohio State 2, and number 1, the Oregon Ducks. All right, so we're going to move to linebacking rooms. So G6, there's actually 6 on here because there's 2 that I could not help but leave off. And to get some tea in my system. All right, so first, number 5, New Mexico. This is a really good linebacking group, led, of course, by Jackson Eck, first team All Mountain West player last year. This guy had 129 tackles and 7 tackles for loss last season. His dad, of course, is the head coach of Jason Eck. But phenomenal player, great going to the football. Dude's a phenomenal linebacker. So Jackson Eck, and then also in this group, less experience, but there's contributors and there's still some good players. You've got Mercury Swam, 52 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss last year. Albert Tuakalulu, he comes from the JUCO ranks where he had 20 tackles and 2.5 sacks. Drew Speech, 2 starts last year, 8 pass breakups, 11 tackles. Nick Wheeler redshirted last year, so he'll be on the field this year. CJ Johnson, he appeared in a couple of games. Chris Gant, he had 4 tackles. And then, of course, there's some depth behind them with some younger guys just looking for their chance. My other number 5, G6 linebacking room, this goes to Boise State. You start with Bowen Phillips, 9 starts the last 2 years, 28 games, 72 tackles. Jake Rip, last 3 years, 6 starts, 41 games, 64 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 5 quarterback hits. Let's just say he got in the quarterback's face. So. South Dakota transfer Roman Tillman comes to Boise, where he had 18 starts the last 3 years with 116 tackles and 7 pass breakups. You got another transfer coming from the Big 12. Logan Brantley, he comes from Kansas, where he appeared just in 12 games with 8 tackles in 2 years. Mena To'oti, 14 games, 6 tackles last year. Sincere Brackett Lambie, 11 games, 2 tackles last year. Cam Jamerson, he comes from TCU. He did not play last year. I guess redshirt or injured or something. And then finally, Trey Tolmeri. He appeared in 4 games last year with an interception for the Broncos. Okay, so number 4. This is Fresno State. We have Simeon Harris, 54 tackles, 6 pass breakups, 5 interceptions last year, kind of the leader of the group. Kevon Thunderberg, 32 tackles, 3 pass breakups, 2 picks last year. Titus Kavajabi, 37 tackles, a sack, 1.5 tackles for loss, got him an interception. Some other guys, Nico Gartner, 4 games, 2 tackles. Logan Stutt, 13 games, 17 tackles. Justin Johnson, 23 games, 6 tackles last 2 years. Tommy Nix, he appeared in all 13 games last year. And Micah Mosley, 10 games, 11 tackles last year. All right, number 3. School you're not going to hear very often, but this is a program on the rise, and that's Kennesaw State. This is their linebacking core that I made note of. Led by Barron Hobson, he was a first-team Conference USA performer last year, 138 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 6 pass breakups, and an interception. Can you say a tackling machine? Also in the group, Taiwan Christopher, he had 81 tackles last year, 1.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and a pick. Cody Jones, 29 tackles, 2 sacks, 4.5 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups, and 4 QB hurries. Some portal additions. Josh Anglin, he comes from Tulsa, where he appeared in 11 games with 38 tackles. Alfred Thomas, he comes from Townsend of the FCS, where he had 12 starts in his career last year, 76 tackles, 2.5 sacks. From Gardner Webb, Ja'Cory Bryson, he had 12 starts, 53 tackles last year. And then a depth piece, Ethan Tooks, he had 15 tackles last year for the Owls. So Kennesaw State, number 3. Number 2, another familiar face. This is the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. Malcolm McCain, 73 tackles last year, 2 sacks, 5.5 tackles for loss. Blaine Myrick, he's a South Alabama transfer. He brings 24 starts experience, 185 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups in the last 2 years when he was at South Alabama. Luke Myers, 17 games last year, 9 tackles last 2 years. Christian McKinney, 16 games appeared, 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions last year. Tyler Dickos, 11 games appeared, 9 tackles last year. Tony Coleman, 22 tackles last year. A couple of other guys on the depth chart that give them a little extra depth is Malik Ray and Birdie Sink. All right, so that's Miami, Ohio at number 2. And then my number 1 G6 linebacking core to start the season is going to be San Diego State, the Aztecs. It starts with Tano Latoli. Last 2 years, he's got 16 starts, 100 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 interceptions. Then you've got Ohio transfer Jalen Thomason. Last 3 years for the Bobcats, 14 starts, 113 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections in the last 3 years. Weber State transfer Sion Holly. He comes to San Diego with 12 starts, 64 tackles last year, 1.5 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss, and a pick. Hosea Cox, 13 games appeared, 23 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss last season. Some other guys, you got Cameron Cooper, who comes from Western Colorado as a transfer, where in 2 years out there, he had 26 starts, 147 tackles, 7 sacks, 14.5 tackles for loss, and 3 interceptions. So really good 2-year run for him at Western Colorado. And then some other guys, Prince Williams, 12 games, 9 tackles last year. Dean Harrington played in 13 games with 2 tackles last year. And Uber Yafi, he comes from Minnesota with limited experience. So that's your G6 top 5. Now to our overall top 10 linebacking rooms. Number 10, I'm going to start with Clemson. This starts with Sammy Brown, of course. All ACC written all over him. 13 starts, 107 tackles last year, 5 sacks, 8.5 tackles for loss. The leader of Clemson's deep linebacking core. Along with him, you've got Jeremiah Alexander, 33 tackles last year. Corey and Gibson, he had 14 tackles, 3 pass breakups last year. Kobe McLeod, he appeared in 2 games last year before injury ended his year. In 2023, he had 16 tackles. Fletcher Cothran, he played in 13 games last year with 10 tackles. Minus Kelly, 5 starts, 17 tackles. Drew Wadaz, he has appeared in 11 games. And then behind that is kind of unproven, but some good recruits that were ranked pretty good coming out of high school. Also at number 10, I completely forgot I had 2 number 10s, but I think I was just doing it for Clemson because I thought that linebacking core was still solid. Anyway, the other number 10 is the Indiana Hoosiers. There is a very nice 1-2 linebacking duo right here. You've got Elijah Hardy and Isaiah Jones. These two are phenomenal. Hardy in the last 2 years, 20 starts, 29 tackles. 20 starts, 29 games, 124 tackles, 9 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions in 2 years. And then Isaiah Jones, he's been in Indiana for 4 years. Talk about seeing 2 different ends of the spectrum. And at Bloomington, 9 starts, 122 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, and a pick. So if you put that together, that's 23 tackles for loss and about 246 tackles and 16.5 sacks between those 2 guys. It's a pretty good little 1-2 punch. Now, after that, they need a third one to step up. So here's some other guys. Nickelback Byron Baldwin, he's appeared in 9 games, 10 tackles. Jeff Utzinger, 29 games the last 2 years with 22 tackles. Caden Turner, he's been in Bloomington for 4 years, 25 games appeared with 29 tackles and a pick. Garrett Reese, he had a tackle last year in 10 games appeared. Quentin Clark appeared in 15 games with 5 tackles. And then behind them, you got some younger players that were solid prospects out of high school, but they're unproven, so need a third linebacker to step up for Indiana. My number 9 linebacking core. We'll go to the Big 12. This is Texas Tech. Led by Ben Roberts. He was 13 Big 12 last year, 14 starts, 90 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 10 pass deflections. John Curry, last year, 14 starts, 72 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups for Curry. And then you go to the transfer portal with a couple of guys here. This one was a really big get. Austin Romaine, he comes to Texas Tech from Kansas State, where he was second team Big 12 last year. Had 9 starts, 66 tackles, 7 tackles for loss. Corey Platt, he comes from Houston, where last year he appeared in 12 games with 40 tackles and 3 sacks. Brock Gowas, 14 games, 16 tackles last year. Miguel Dingle, he is back from injury after missing all but 1 game last year. In 2024, he had 29 tackles for the Red Raiders. Adam Hill, he can play linebacker and run the ball. He actually run for 240 last year. Wesley Smith, he had 5 tackles last year in limited action. And then Chris Lemons, he appeared in a game looking for more reps. Number 8 linebacking core goes, I've got Ole Miss. Centurion Perkins, 25 starts the last 3 years. Played every game last year, 179 tackles, 18 sacks, 8 tackles for loss in his career. Really good portal gets for these next couple. You got Keaton Thomas. He comes from Baylor, where he was a 2-time All-Big 12 player. 25 starts there with 219 tackles in his career, 3.5 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions. Luke Farrell, he comes to Ole Miss from Cal with controversy. Sorry, Clemson. Anyway, 13 starts, 91 tackles, 5 tackles for loss with the Golden Bears. Taj Butler, he comes from Georgia Tech, where he had 59 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss. Blake Purchase, he comes from Oregon to Oxford, 15 games appeared, 32 tackles, 2 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss last year. Tony Mitchell, he joins the Rebels from Mississippi State, where he had 3 starts and 25 tackles last year. Raymond Collins, a really good JUCO prospect. We'll see how he translates to the SEC. And then I made note of Edwin Joseph. He comes from Florida State, where in the last 2 years he had 7 tackles for loss. and 4 interceptions. Number 7 on the linebacking groups, BYU. This is a really good linebacking group that I don't think many people are talking about, but it's a strong one. Isaiah Glasker, he was a first-team Big 12er last year. He had 14 starts, 67 tackles, and 3 sacks. Sael Ezera, 10 starts, 48 tackles last year. Kay Ulave, he comes from Cal, where he had a really good 3-year career there. He was first-team ACC last season, but in 3 years at Cal, 26 starts, 237 tackles, 6 sacks, 15.5 tackles for loss. Also, Tasil Akana, 13 games, 15 tackles last year. Miles Hall, 14 games, 18 tackles last year. Jake Clifton, 3 starts, 36 tackles at Kansas State for 2 years. Mayaka Kafuzi, 10 games, 2 tackles last year. And then finally, Hunter Clegg, he had 10 tackles for BYU. Really good group with talent at the front and depth. So keep an eye on BYU. All right, just a second. My number 6 linebacking core, this is Georgia. Led by Chris Cole, 59 tackles, 4.5 sacks last year, 2.5 tackles for loss. Raylan Wilson, 14 starts, 74 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss last year. Really good portal get here. Khalil Barnes, he comes from Clemson to Georgia, where he had, in 3 years with the Tigers, he had 30 starts, 147 tackles, 16 pass breakups, 7 interceptions the last 3 years. Zayden Walker, 10 games last year with 6 tackles, 2 sacks. Justin Williams, 14 games last year, 36 tackles, 4 tackles for loss. Terrell Foster, 34 games appeared in 3 years with 13 tackles. And then some young guys who are highly ranked recruits that are ready for their chance. Nick Abrams, he was number 30 on the rankings. Elijah Littlejohn, number 29. And Zach Ford at number 37. Okay, number 5, this is Tennessee. Arian Carter, 22 starts the last 2 years with 75 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss. Edwin Spillman, last 2 years, 6 starts, 81 tackles. Okay, 2.5 sacks. Jeremiah Talander, 13 starts last year, 80 tackles, 6 for loss. A couple of transfers. You got Amari Campbell from Penn State. Last year for Penn State, he had 13 starts, 103 tackles, 3 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss, coming to Knoxville with new DC Jim Knowles. From Kansas State, they got nickelback Kua Moss, 10 starts last year, 41 tackles, and a couple of other guys. Jaden Perlotti, 19 tackles. Jadon Harmon, 13 games, 19 tackles. And Jordan Burns, who has 12 games appeared, 8 tackles. Our number 4 linebacking group will go to Texas. Ty Anthony Smith, obviously, 76 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss last 2 years. Really good get right here in the transfer portal. Rasheem Biles, he comes to Texas from Pittsburgh, where the last 2 years at Pitt, he had 19 starts, 183 tackles, 10.5 sacks, 21.5 tackles for loss in 2 years. He was a baller at Pitt, and now he goes to Texas. Great get, Texas. Also in this group from Florida State, Justin Cryer, 10 starts, 87 tackles last 3 years. Grayshawn Littlejohn, 8 starts, 47 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions last year for the Longhorns. Let's see, Tyler Atkinson, the number 1 ranked linebacker out of high school in his class. He's going to get his chance to shine for Texas. Couple of more portal guys. Darius Snow, he comes from Michigan State, where he had 161 tackles and 15 starts. It says last 6 years, so I guess he's been at Michigan State 6 years. Whoa. And then finally, Nick Hudson, he's a Brown transfer from the Ivy League. 27 games, 52 tackles, 13 pass breakups. And then you got number 7 and number 12 ranked high school linebackers providing young depth, getting ready for their chance. Appreciate y'all tuning in and checking me out. Thank you again, as always. Our number 3 linebacking core is Oklahoma. It starts with Owen Heineke, who was actually a walk-on, believe it or not. But last year, 5 starts, 74 tackles, 3 sacks, 9 tackles for loss for the Sooners. You got Kip Lewis, who last year had 76 tackles, 4 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss. Reggie Powers, 31 tackles, 2.5 for loss last year in 13 games. From the transfer portal, Cole Sullivan, he comes to Oklahoma from Michigan, where up there he had 44 tackles, 5 for loss. You got Taylor Heim, who has 17 tackles. And then some ranked guys who are ready for their shot. You have James Nesta, he was number 65 out of high school. Marcus James, number 68 ranked. And Jeremiah Newcombe, he was number 77 ranked high school linebacker prospect. All right, number 2. This linebacking core goes to the LSU Tigers. It starts with Whit Weeks, who is back from injury. He was banged up last year. But in 2024, he was a third-team All-American. Last year, he did have 31 tackles before the injuries really started to take effect. But he was a third-team All-American in 2024, looking to get back to that level of performance for the Tigers. Also in this group, TJ Daugherty, he comes from Ole Miss. Last 2 years in Oxford, he had 27 starts, 174 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss. You got Deshaun Spears. He started 4 games the last 2 years, 52 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups. Tyler Singleton, 15 tackles last year. Devon Keys, I hope I said that right, Devon Keys. Last 2 years, 9 starts, 123 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss in his career. CJ Jim Coley, 13 games, 5 tackles. Jaden Breaker, 5 games, 2 tackles. And a couple of younger prospects on this roster waiting for their shot, ranked 13th and 29th. So LSU, number 2. And then finally, my number 1 linebacking core is Notre Dame. There's some really good talent here. Nickelback Christian Gray, last year 10 starts, 17 tackles, 11 pass breakups, 2 INTs. Jaden Osbury, last 2 years, 12 starts, 109 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. Drake Bowen, last year, 12 starts, 67 tackles, 3.5 sacks. Another nickelback, we've got Dallas Golden. He had 10 games appeared last year with 22 tackles and 2 pass deflections. Jalen Sneed, last 2 years, 10 starts, 86 tackles, 5.5 sacks. Kingston Volomu Aza, 85 tackles, 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss last 2 years. Madden Faramu, 16 tackles, 2 sacks last year. And then finally, Teddy Rizak, 12 games, 4 tackles last year. Okay, so that is our linebacking core. Oh, sorry about that. There it is for you one final time. G6, I've got a couple of number 5s, New Mexico and Boise State. Number 4, Fresno. Number 3 is Kennesaw State. Miami, Ohio at 2. San Diego State at 1. And then your top 10, I did put Indiana and Clemson at 10 because I'm very high on Clemson's. Of course, Indiana's is really good. Texas Tech 9, Ole Miss 8, BYU 7, Georgia 6, Tennessee is 5, Texas is 4, Oklahoma 3, LSU 2, and Notre Dame at number 1. Okay, before we get into the secondaries, I'm going to read a quick little story, a news story, and then we're going to take our first break. We haven't took a break yet. All right, real quick, shout out to Billy Edwards Jr. of North Carolina. He is officially named the starting quarterback. He, of course, was at Wisconsin before then, I believe. Yeah, he originally started at Wake Forest, but he's also been at Wisconsin. But anyway, Billy Edwards wins the quarterback job. He'll start for them 1 week from Saturday when they face TCU in Ireland. All right, before we get into our top 10 secondaries and our top 10 special teams, we're going to do something we haven't done yet. We're going to take a break. I'll see you guys in a second. Alright guys, welcome back to 4th and 25 with Jram. Alright, so we've done D-line and we've done linebackers. So, let's go to our secondaries. Alright, so we're going to start with the G6, of course. G6. Number 5 San Diego State. Now, they did suffer a loss in the spring when safety Delshon Staley was injured lost due to an ACL tear, so this does kind of hamper them. I did have them a little higher. I think I had them third, but I dropped them to fifth for the time being. Also included, let's make sure we still got audio. Make sure y'all can still hear me, okay? Yep, good. Okay. Number 5, San Diego State. Delshon Staley out for the year. Also on the list, Josiah Cox. He had 23 tackles last year, 2.5 for loss. Some transfers. Idaho State's Mike Lindsey comes in, 15 games, appeared with 29 tackles. Caleb Ricks, he comes from Idaho, 26 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and a pick last year. Jelani McLaughlin, he has 27 games with the Aztecs, appeared, 19 tackles. A couple more, and the rest of these are transfers. Isaiah Green, he comes from Portland State. Last 2 years there, he had 19 starts, 150 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups. Solomon Davis, he comes from Oregon to San Diego State, where he, in 3 years, had 27 games appeared with 9 tackles. Jason Oliver, he comes from Sacramento State, and in 3 years there, he had 47 tackles, 2 picks, 12 pass breakups. And then finally, another Portland State kid, Karsten Mamaro, he comes from there, where in 2 years, he had 30 tackles, 11 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. And that is San Diego State. Number 4, Miami, Ohio. They're going to be good on defense. If you watch the MAC, you'll know what I'm talking about. Miami, Ohio's good in all 3 phases of their defense. But anyway, the number 4 here on my secondaries, 5 of their top 8 guys are back from last season. You have Caleb Martin, 12 starts last year, 33 tackles, 7 pass breakups. Mikhail Yarborough, 10 starts, 48 tackles, 4 pass breakups last year. Some transfers. Dylan Tatum, he comes from Northwestern, where he appeared in 12 games with 17 tackles last year. Ben Minich, he comes from Notre Dame, where he had 9 tackles in 2 years, joining the Red Hawks. CJ Young, he's a transfer from Kent State, so keeping it in the conference. He had 11 starts, 89 tackles last year for the Golden Flashes. Also back with the Red Hawks, Brock Yohan, 13 games, 29 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Christian McKinney, 16 games appeared, 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions last 2 years. Eli Kappas, 25 games, 32 tackles last 2 years. And then another transfer, Marian Nyan. He comes from Northern Illinois. 13 starts, 40 tackles, 7 pass deflections. Before that, he actually was in Indiana, but he took a medical redshirt. Okay, number 3, we got Western Kentucky here. Jalen Lewis, 13 starts, 74 tackles, 3 interceptions. I think that was last year. Dave Herard, 12 starts, 58 tackles, 4 pass breakups. You got Tony Newsom. He's a transfer from West Florida, where he had 25 tackles last year with 7 pass breakups and 2 interceptions. Some other guys, Braxton Myers, 9 games, 5 tackles. Christian White, Florida State transfer with 8 tackles in 2 years there. Jacob Cosby Mosley, he comes to WKU from Wake Forest, limited time there. Kenyon Moses, a transfer out of Northern Arizona. Last 2 years there, he had 15 starts with 64 tackles. And then finally, one more transfer, BJ Carey. He comes from Weber State, where in 2 years, 80 tackles, 3 pass deflections. My number 2 secondary in the G6 goes to the UNLV Running Rebels, Dan Mullen's team. Starts with Jake Pope. He had 14. He started every game last year. 81 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 6 pass deflections. Mumu bin Wahad, 30 tackles, a pass breakup, 4 quarterback hurries. Avery Helm, he is a transfer from TCU, where he had 27 tackles, 5 pass breakups the last 2 years. Trey Fulton, 33 tackles, 4 pass breakups last year. Denver Harris, he's a transfer from UTSA, where in 2 years he had 19 tackles and 3 pass breakups, 3 starts. Jalen Allen, 13 games, appeared 2 tackles last year. Quindarius Keys, last year he had 2 starts, 14 tackles, 8 pass deflections. Logan Christensen, 14 games last year with 9 tackles. And my number 1 G6 secondary, this one was actually pretty easy when you kind of break it down and look at what they got. Fresno State. It starts with Ryan Wilson, 35 games in 3 years, 38 tackles and a pick. Keontre Harris, this dude is really good. 13 games, 3 tackles. Oh, here's the other one. Simeon Harris, 5 interceptions last year, 6 pass breakups, 54 tackles. All you could ask for in a good defensive back. Loyal Mazan, 11 games, 10 tackles in 2 years. Ethan Turney, 22 tackles and a pick last year. Andre Cobbs into the rotation, 14 tackles. A couple of transfers. Preston Okafor, he appeared in a couple games last year for Nebraska. Taylor Powell, he comes from Northern Illinois. In 12 games, he had 35 tackles. And that is your G6 top 5 secondaries. Okay, so let's move to our overall top 10. I'm trying to go through these as quick as I can. But number 10, LSU. I put LSU secondary at number 10. Used to call them DBU. They're still really good. They're producing them. But anyway, number 10 is LSU. Let's start with a big transfer here. They got Todd Benfield from Boise State. He was an all-Mountain West player last year. Kind of played nickelback, cornerback, and linebacker, safety. So I just settled him here. In the last 3 years at Boise, 33 starts, 235 tackles, 12 pass breakups, 5 interceptions. Awesome get for Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers. DJ Pickett, last year, 37 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 3 interceptions for him. Also back, PJ Woodland, last year, 13 starts, 41 tackles, 9 pass breakups, 2 INTs. NC State transfer to Marcus Cooley. He comes there with 13 starts to his credit, 70 tackles and 2 picks last season with the Wolfpack. A couple of young guys with not as much experience. Jakeem Jackson, 6 tackles, 11 games last year. Michael Turner, 7 games and a tackle last year. And a couple more transfers. Traylon James, he comes from across town at Southern University out of the SWAC. 26 tackles last year, 5 pass breakups. And then Fahim Delane, he comes from Ohio State, 13 games and 12 tackles. Number 9, secondary. This is going to be Utah. Utah always good at producing DBs. So it starts with Rabbit Evans. He is back from injury last year, 34 tackles the year before that. But when healthy, really good. Elijah Davis, in 2 years, 20 starts, 63 tackles, 4 interceptions. James Chenault, he had 8 starts last year with 32 tackles and 4 pass deflections. Jackson Benny, 11 starts last year with 64 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 9 pass deflections. Also caught and run the ball a little bit. Elijah Reed, he's an Akron transfer. He goes to Salt Lake City, bringing 18 starts in 2 years, 21 games appeared, 79 tackles, 11 pass deflections. J.C. Hart, he's appeared 13 games with 6 tackles for them. Nate Ritchie, he's been there for 3 years, 9 starts, 66 tackles. Nate Tillman, last year, 17 tackles and a sack in 11 games. Okay, so number 8, Indiana. It starts with A.J. Harris, a Penn State transfer. In 2 years at Penn State, he had 26 starts, 81 tackles, 5 for loss, 6 pass deflections, and a pick. Amari Farrell, another really good player, 28 starts, 40 games, 106 tackles. That's all in 3 years. 1.5 sacks, 4.5 tackles for loss, 8 interceptions, 8 pass batted, deflected. Also, you got Ryland Gandy. He comes from Pittsburgh, where in 3 years he had 13 starts, 47 tackles, 2 passes broken up. Another transfer, Preston Zachman. He joins Indiana from Wisconsin, where in 4 years he had 20 starts, 35 games, 135 tackles, 8 passes broken up, 7 interceptions. So really good career at Wisconsin as he joins fellow Big Ten Indiana. Also on this group, Jamari Shape, 4 years, 28 starts, 40 games, 85 tackles, 2 interceptions, 14 passes broken up. We already mentioned Amari Farrell, of course. Jalen Bell, 14 games with 5 tackles last year. Carson Williams, this is a portal addition. He comes from Montana State, as y'all know, FCS powerhouse. 20 games there, 47 tackles, 9 passes broken up. Nice little piece to the depth chart by Kurt. And then finally, Anthony Chung, 16 games and 6 tackles last season. My number 7 secondary. This is going to be Texas A&M. It starts with, I got Bryce Anderson on here. He is back from injury, but like 4 years, he has 19 starts at A&M with 117 tackles. Des Ricks, last year, 13 starts, 26 tackles, 6 passes broken up. Ricky Gibson, he was at Tennessee in 2024, but he was he was injured last year at A&M. But in 2024, when he was at Tennessee, he had 12 starts, 32 tackles, 5 passes broken up. Marcus Ratcliffe in 2 years, 25 starts, 114 tackles, 3 passes broken up, 3 INTs. Dalton Brooks, last 2 years, 18 starts for the Aggies with 120 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 5 passes deflected. 20 viewers, appreciate that. Thank y'all. Did I say Dalton Brooks? 18 starts, 120 tackles, 11 for loss, 5 passes deflected last 2 years. Miles Davis in 2 years, he's kind of a reserve, but 24 games appeared, 18 tackles, and a couple more transfers. Tawfiq Beard, he comes to A&M from Colorado, where he had 8 starts, 85 tackles, and 5 passes deflected. And Julian Humphrey, he's a Georgia transfer in 2024, but last year at A&M, 10 games with 7 tackles. Okay, our number 6 secondary, Oklahoma. It starts with Cortland Guillory, 11 starts, 41 tackles last year, 7 passes broken up. Eli Bowen, second team SEC last year, 9 starts, 24 tackles, 4 passes broken up, 2 picks. Another second team SEC last year, Peyton Bowen. So the Bowen brothers, I don't know if they're brothers for sure, but Peyton Bowen, 13 starts, 47 tackles, 7 passes broken up, 2 interceptions. Michael Boganowski, 31 tackles last year, 2.5 for loss. Tristan Haynes, this is a very highly ranked prospect, number 24 out of high school. We'll see if he gets on the field a lot. Dakota Fields, he is an Oregon transfer, did not play for the Ducks while he was there, 27th ranked prospect. Jacoby Johnson in 11 games, 9 tackles and 2 interceptions. Marion Robertson, 9 games with 3 tackles. And then finally, Prince Lajomia. He is a transfer from Mississippi Valley State, just up the road from me. He had 13 starts there with 59 tackles in 2 years, and now with Oklahoma. My number 5 secondary. I feel like it would almost be a crime if this school was not in this list because they always are good at this group. But number 5 is Iowa. And you've got Deshaun Lee, 26 starts, 108 tackles, 2 for loss, 13 passes broken up, 3 interceptions last 3 years. Jalen Watson, last 3 years, 23 games, 20 tackles, 1 pass broken up. Tyler Brown, last year, 13 starts, 80 tackles, a sack, 4 tackles for loss, 6 passes deflected with an interception. Zach Ludemer, last year, 13 starts, 71 tackles, 4.5 for loss, 7 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Alex Moda played in 4 games. Rashad Godfrey, 15 tackles last year. Darian Janez, a top 50 prospect at his position, looking for a chance. And then Anthony Hawkins, transferred from Villanova. He comes from Iowa, where in 2 years he had 15 starts, 20 games, 61 tackles, 4 for loss, 11 passes broken up, and 2 interceptions while he was there. Number 4 is Miami. We got Xavier Lucas. Last year, 12 starts, 45 tackles, 8 passes broken up, 2 interceptions. Last 2, Romanas O.J. for Duke. In 2 years, 15 passes broken up, 49 tackles, 16 starts. Bryce Fitzgerald, 16 passes broken up. 16 starts. I'm sorry. This number's out of whack. Anyway, he has 6 interceptions at Iowa. Jeremiah Poisner, 16 starts, 68 tackles, 6 passes broken up, 3 tackles for loss. Dylan Day, 28 games and 18 tackles in 2 years. Oregon State transfer Conrad Hussey. He comes to Miami, bringing 40 tackles in 2 years before that at Florida State. He had 5 tackles at Oregon State, but then the year before that he was at Florida State where he had some tackles. Ethan O'Connor, 6 starts last year, 28 tackles, 5 passes broken up. And then finally Damari Brown, last 3 years, 10 starts and 40 tackles. Number 3 is Georgia. There is some really good talent in this secondary, obviously. KJ Bolden, 14 starts last year, 16 tackles, 5 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. Rashawn Dinkins, 2 starts, 13 tackles. DeMello Jones, 24 tackles, 5 passes broken up. Ellis Robertson, another really good one. Last year, 12 starts, 20 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and plus he had 4 interceptions. Braylon Conley, 2 starts, 14 tackles. Oklahoma transfer Gentry Williams, where in 3 years with the Sooners, he had 15 starts, 52 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and 4 interceptions. Zion Branch, he was at USC in 2023 and 24. Last year, he appeared in 11 games, 27 tackles, and 2 pass breakups for the Bulldogs. And then finally, one more transfer to make note of, Jamarly Riddle. He joins Georgia from East Carolina, where he had 19 starts in 2 years, 134 tackles, 10 pass breakups, and 6 interceptions. My number 2 secondary is the Oregon Ducks. We got Brandon Finney. Last year, 15 starts, 42 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Corey Pirch, he comes from Minnesota. This was a really good portal addition where he was, I believe, all Big Ten. But in 2 years with Minnesota, he had 16 starts, 26 games, 128 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, and 6 interceptions. Ife Abadagu, 12 starts, 24 tackles, 6 pass breakups last year. Aaron Flowers, 15 starts last year, 70 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and a pick. Naheem Offord, 15 games, 15 tackles. Arian Scott, he comes from Ohio State to Oregon. 19 games, 11 tackles, 2 pass deflections in 2 years. They've also got Trey McNutt. He's a redshirt freshman, did not play last year. Peyton Woodyard, in 2 years, he's had 29 games appeared with 31 tackles and a pick. Also for Oregon in the secondary, number 1, number 3, number 6, number 8, and number 10 ranked high school prospects in waiting. And then finally, the number 1 DB unit is Notre Dame. This starts, of course, with All-American Leonard Moore. This dude is phenomenal. 10 starts, 31 tackles, 7 pass breakups, 5 interceptions last season. First team All-American. Also in the secondary group with him is Chaz Smith. He had a wrist surgery here recently. Expected back sometime this season. Tay Johnson, 10 games last year, 48 tackles, 3 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. Adon Schuler, 2 years, 27 starts, 112 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 10 pass breakups, 5 INTs. Mark Zachary, 3 starts, 10 tackles, 2 pass breakups last year. DJ McKinney, he 9 starts, 35 tackles, 6 pass deflections. In 2024, he had 3 interceptions. Jaden Sanders, 13 games last year, 23 tackles. And then finally, Luke Telich, 28 games, 45 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and 4 interceptions in 2 years. All right, so here you go. Here is my top 10 secondaries for you one final time before we get into special teams. G6 top 5, San Diego State 5, Miami, Ohio is 4, Western Kentucky 3, UNLV 2, Fresno State is 1. Top 10, LSU 10, Utah 9, Indiana 8, Texas A&M 7, Oklahoma 6, Iowa 5, Miami 4, Georgia 3, Oregon 2, Notre Dame number 1. All right, to then. So let's keep this train going. All right, our last position ranking, special teams. Not many people usually do this, but I'm going to give special teams their love because they deserve it. So, G6 top 5 special teams groups. This is going to be a little quicker. Kicker, Nico Gramatica is back, 18 of 24 last year, along with 52. His brother, Gaston Gramatica, is his backup. Their punter, Luke Goder, he's back, 46 punt. He had a 46-yard punt, average of 36.2, 28th ranked, so a little younger, but he'll get better with experience. Alvon Isaac is back to return punts and kickoffs, and then Joshua Porter is also there as a punt returner. My number 4 special teams group is UL Lafayette in the G6 ranks. Their kicker, Tony Sterner, is back, 20 of 28, long of 55, made all his extra points. Punter's a little more uncertain. It's Mason Golding. He's an Australian import, but Australians have been doing really good recently. Not sure yet on their returning game. My number 3 special teams group is Fresno State. Starts with kicker ncaa Wannabe. Made 21 of 22 field goals. He was almost perfect at Ashland University, which is where he transfers to Fresno from, by the way. At Ashland, he had 21 of 22 field goals, long of 59. See how he does at Fresno. Ethan Rossetti is back at long snapper. He's really good. Punter Clay Lawrence did not play last year, but in 2024 he did play some with 58 punts, 41-yard average. The return game is in really good shape with Rayshawn Luke. He had 300 plus yards kick returning. And then you've got Jordan Malulu returning punts. Number 2 is Arkansas State. Hello, Red Wolves. Your kicker, Clun Van Andel, made 21 of 27 last year, long of 54. Punter Danny Vukovic, V-U-C-K, Vukovic, I hope I said that right. 25 punts, 42.3 yard average, long of 54. Hit 7 of those 25 inside the 20. And then the return game has Chauncey Cobb, really good returner. He returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns last year. And then finally, the number 1 special teams G6 unit. I'm going to give that to Toledo. There's a lot of transfers here, but they did bring their punter back, Emilio Duran. He had 60 punts, 40.6 yard average, long of 55. 23 of those 60 landed inside the 20. The new kicker is Reese Griffith. He comes from Mercer with the head coach. Last year at Mercer, he had 14 and 17 on his field goals, long of 51. Didn't miss an extra point. Bryson Hammer is back to return, is the punt returner, average 12 yards a return. Okay, my top 10 special teams units for the big boys. Number 10 is Ole Miss. Kicker Lucas Carnero, one of the country's best. He was an All-American his 2 years at Western Kentucky before he got to Ole Miss last season. Last season with the Rebels, he was 31 of 35 with a long of 58 yards. Really, really good. Long of 58. Did not miss an extra point. Their punter is back, Oscar Bird. He had a 46-yard average, long of 64. 14 of his 41 punts went inside the 20. Number 9, Indiana. Long snapper Drew Clausen is there now. He's an Iowa State transfer. He's the new long snapper for the Hoosiers. The new punter, Billy Gowers. This is a good one. 46.2 yard average at Hawaii. A long of 61. 25 of his 49 punts went inside the 20. Kicker Nico Reddick is back. He was 29 of 31 last year on his field goals. Long of 46. Made all his extra points in 3 years. 29 of 31 through 3 years. I'm sorry. It's good to have a good kicker. I'm sure Kurt Signetti loves it. 9 block kicks in 2 years, also by this group. Very good. Number 8 special teams unit is Iowa. New special teams coach Chris Polizzi. He comes, I think, from Tulsa. The kicker is transfer Eli Isaac. He comes from North Dakota State, where he made 16 to 18 with a long of 54. Punter comes from D3 Simpson College. Tanner Philippot, 40 punts last year for them, 43.9 yard average, long of 78. Whew, what a kick. 10 of his 40 punts went inside the 20. Number 7, this is Utah. Dylan Curtis is back to kick, 11 of 15 on field goals, long of 54. Punter Orion Phillips is back, 42.3 yard average. 20 of his kicks went inside the 20 of his 38 punts went inside the 20. Couple of good return options. Mana Carvalho on punt returns. He ran a punt back for a touchdown. And Daniel Bray is back to return kicks. Number 6 is Oklahoma. Ben Anderson is the long snapper. Second team SEC last year. One of the country's best long snappers. Isaiah Segtegna, good receiver. He's a good punt returner. 300 plus yards returning. Peyton Bowen, the receiver we were just talking about, the DB we were just talking about for OU, he's a good kick returner. Their punter, Grayson Miller, first team SEC last year, 45.8 yard average, long of 66, 25 of his 59 went inside the 20. And then, of course, the kicker, Oklahoma, another one of the best kickers in the country, Tate Sandell, first team All-American last year, 24-27 on his field goals, long of 55, and did not miss an extra point. Number 5 is Texas. Ryan Niblett, of course, talented receiver. He is back to return kickoffs and punts. He ran 2 punts back for touchdowns last year, 22.7 average. Punter and kicker are new, but they're good. They're good. Punter Mac Chimento, he comes from Florida State, where he averaged 44 yards a punt, long of 56, 13 of 27, went inside the 20. And the new kicker is Gianni Spedic. He comes from Memphis, where he was 15 of 20, long of 55, didn't miss an extra point. Number 4, Notre Dame. Spencer Parathis, the new kicker, he comes from Purdue, where he was 15 of 17 with a long of 53, no missed extra points. Punter is Jasper Scaff. He's from Australia, got a really good leg, should be a nice weapon to have. And they've got options in the return game, so Notre Dame's number 4. Number 3 is Georgia. Peyton Woodenring again is back for kicker. Looks like he's been at Georgia a long time. 17 and 19. He's missed 8 field goals in 3 years. I think that's pretty good. Long of 53. Didn't miss an extra point last year. Drew Miller is the punter again. Drew Miller is the full-time punter now. He did punt 6 last year for a 48-yard average. Number 2 is the Florida Gators. This is their special teams group. And let's just say there's 2 lane transfers that come with John Summerall. Alex Clark's back at punter, 48 punts, 46.5-yard average, long of 70. First team all conference, 16 of them went inside the 20. Patrick Durkin is the kicker. He comes from Tulane, 25 of 28, long of 52. All AAC last year. And then Vernell Brown gives them a nice weapon in the return game. 12.6 a punt return and 17.4 a kick return. And then finally, my number 1 special teams unit is Texas Tech. You've got punt return options in Coy Eakin and Tristan Gentry. Micah Hudson, a really good receiver, can return kickoffs, as well as Jacoby Williams. He ran 1 back for a touchdown. Punter Will Carroll, he's a transfer from UCLA, where he had a 43.5-yard average. 13 of his 44 punts went inside the 20. And then finally, kicker Stone Harrington, maybe the best in the Big 12. 22 of 28 on field goals, long of 58. 3 of 5 from 50 plus. All right. So here you go. One last time. This is my top special teams rooms. G6 top 5. South Florida is 5. Lafayette is 4. Fresno State 3. Arkansas State 2. Toledo at 1. Ole Miss 10. Indiana 9. Iowa 8. Utah 7. Oklahoma 6. Texas is 5. Notre Dame is 4. Georgia 3. Florida 2. And number 1, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Okay. So we're going to take one final break, and then we're going to take another break. We might take 2. I'm not sure yet. But we're going to take one, and we're going to come back about 2 other things. I'm going to have to be quick on those before I unveil you on my 2026 preseason All-American team. See you guys in just a second.
To hate, Andrew Anderson spitting truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast like a punch right to your face. College sports villain, taking it over the place. I bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain. Well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide. Hard rock in my veins, rebellious to the core. I won't back down, won't take it anymore. The bad guy of the podcast world, that's me. Unleashing the truth, setting it all free. Unleashing the truth.
All right, guys, welcome back to 4th and 25. Well, hope y'all enjoyed the team group rankings. Had a little trouble here, of course. Now we're having trouble. All right, so hang on just a second. Okay. Alright. Alright, where'd my camera go? Hold on. Seems like we're having a little bit of a camera issue. Hang on, guys. Dog's going crazy. Alright, welcome back, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's get into two other things because before we get ready to go. I wasn't going to get into this one, but this one has kind of rocked the college sports world. Ex-Ole Miss starters granted a restraining order for a 5th year. So, former Ole Miss stars Daquan Wright, Xavier Harris, and Wyatt Williams, all of whom have signed with NFL teams this summer, are among a group of athletes who were granted a temporary restraining order Wednesday to return to college for one more year. The trio of Rebel standouts joined 30 other athletes from a variety of sports in the lawsuit filed against the NCAA in Louisiana State Court on Wednesday. When is the NCAA not getting sued? They're a joke. The list of plaintiffs includes 16 football players, several who signed with NFL teams and participated in training camps. 3 of the players, including Wright, Williams, and former Oregon State running back Anthony Hackerson, are currently listed on the rosters. Those players have expressed an interest in being released from their contracts, according to attorney Ryan Downton, and if their teams release them by September 1st, they'll be allowed to join a college roster under the restraining order. As stupid as that sounds, but hold on. Try to get rid of that real quick. Alright. Former South Carolina safety DQ Smith, LSU linebacker Jack Pyburn, JMU linebacker Trent Hendrick, and Notre Dame D lineman junior Tahala Maka are among the other players who joined the suit. NCAA Senior Vice President of External Affairs Tim Buckley said in a statement, "Courts across the country granting relief to ineligible athletes who have already had the opportunity to compete in college, sometimes without even having a hearing, or failing to appreciate the destabilizing effect their rulings are having on college sports." He's right. I agree with that. But the NCAA did this to themselves. They created this mess. The lawyers bringing these cases seemingly won't be satisfied until every pro athlete can treat college sports as a fallback option, regardless of the opportunities it strips from those who will never have a chance to begin their college experience. Their case is the latest in a wave of more than a dozen lawsuits filed this summer by athletes who want to play a 5th year. In total, more than 100 athletes are currently suing the NCAA in hopes of returning to school for one more year. The lawsuit claims the NCAA is breaching its covenant of good faith by not giving these players the same opportunity to play for 5 years. 5-year window without a specific age restriction. Yeah, there it is. When they voted for the change, the D1 board of the NCAA changed its eligibility rules in June to allow athletes to play for 5 years within a 5-year time span, which begins either when they enroll in college or in the academic year following their 19th birthday, whichever comes first. The new rule eliminates most of the waivers players received in the past to extend their time in college sports due to injuries or other extenuating circumstances. Yep, the decision prompted a current wave of this crap. The NCAA has appealed Sweeney's ruling and other restraining orders issued in recent weeks. They did win an appeal earlier this week in the, whatever that says, Board of Vinkin versus NCAA case filed in Ohio State Court. So anyway, the NCAA is getting sued. A lawyer gave the players a restraining order. We are actually now in a time where college players are on NFL rosters and they can go back to college. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing, folks? This is not how this system was meant to be done. Excuse my language. I don't want to get too worked up, but what are we doing? If you're going to the NFL or pros, your college is over. You should not be able to come back. And this is coming from an Ole Miss fan, guys. This is coming from an Ole Miss fan. I'm sorry, but if you're going pro, you're done. You should not be able to come back. Now, Xavier Harris of Ole Miss, who's in this, has already said he's entering the transfer portal. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of it. Maybe the appeal will get hurt or something. We're not sure. I don't really care anymore. The NCAA is a joke. Their rules are a joke. They have no authority. This whole thing is now the Wild West. That's all it is. Wild West, no rules, no nothing. I'm just going to enjoy talking about college football. The heck with the rest of it. Okay, so enough ranting because I'm in a good mood. Let's get ready to close this thing out with one more thing. I am going to unveil to y'all my first team and second team All-Americans. This is Jram's preseason All-American team. This was tough to decide, but I ended up going with two teams. I almost was going to do a third one, but then I said, you know what, two's enough. So let's get to it. I am going to give you the second team first. So here we go. Of course, I like to do defense and special teams first. So here we go. My second team, All-Americans. Let's start with our special teams. I put Tate Sandell, the Oklahoma kicker. Cade Reynoldsson of Duke is my punter. My long snapper is Morgan Triblett of SMU. All-purpose is Ryan Niblett of Texas. There's the second team defense for you. Safeties Bray Hubbard of Alabama. Corey Perch of Oregon. Cornerback Bryce Pollock of Texas Tech. Ellis Robertson of Georgia. Linebackers, I've got Texas's Rasheem Biles, Georgia's Raylan Wilson, Clemson's Sammy Brown, Texas Tech's Ben Roberts. Your defensive line, Tyreek Tucker of Indiana, Ole Miss's Will Eccles, South Carolina's Dylan Stewart, and Princeville Umanalian of LSU. Our second team offense. Offensive line, Greg Johnson of Minnesota, John Mills of Washington, Iowa's Cade Piper, Cincinnati's Evan Tingus-Dahl. My center is Brady Small of Army, very underrated, really good player. Tight end Terrence Carter of Texas Tech. My wide receivers, I voted on Charlie Becker of Indiana, Cam Coleman of Texas, and Mario Craver of Texas A&M. Running backs, I got Mark Fletcher of Miami, L.J. Morton of BYU. Your quarterback is Julian Sand of Ohio State. And there's no head coaches on the real All-American teams. I just do one for the fun of it. Kirby Smart of Georgia gets the second team on. All right. First team. Here we go. First team special teams. All-purpose, Darius Clark of Kent State. Most of you probably never heard of this guy, but he is a playmaker, and he plays a lot of positions. Long snapper, Ben Anderson of Oklahoma. Evan Crenshaw of Troy, the punter. This dude has got a leg. He's the best punter in the country. Kicker is Lucas Carnero of Ole Miss. You could not go wrong with Tate Sandell or Lucas Carnero. I think those two are on a pedestal as far as the best kickers in the country. First team defense. There's your safeties. Amari Farrell of Indiana, KJ Bolden of Georgia. Cornerbacks, Leonard Moore of Notre Dame, Xavier Brown of Alabama. Linebacker room, Xavier Atkins of Auburn, very good player. Kip Lewis of Oklahoma, and I've got two Indiana linebackers on my first team All-Americans, Isaiah Jones and Elijah Hardy. Your defensive line, Colin Simmons of Texas, Anthony Smith of Minnesota, Oklahoma's David Stone, and Oregon's Amari Washington. And then finally, offense, first team. Offensive line, P.J. Williams of SMU, Caden Green of Missouri, Indiana's Carter Smith, and Trevor Gooseby of Texas. The center is Drew Bobo of Georgia. Tight end is Trey'Dez Green of LSU. Wide receivers are Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith, Miami's Malachi Toney, and Deuce Robertson of Florida State. Running backs, this was kind of tough because we just don't know what Ahmad Hardy's status is. But for now, he is going to be on my first team because if he's healthy, he's probably the best back in the country. So Ahmad Hardy of Missouri and Keywan Lacey of Ole Miss, that's the two best running backs in the country, in my opinion. Your quarterback, Arch Manning of Texas. And, of course, head coach Kurt Cignetti of Indiana, who I think is the best coach in college football right now. Him and Kirby are the top two dogs as far as I'm concerned, as far as head coaches. So there you go. That is Jram's 2026 preseason All-American teams. Also, before I go, Ryan Day of Ohio State, they announced that their senior day is going to be the first game of the season and not the Michigan game. It's at home. So senior day is being moved to the start of the year from the end of the year. What in the world are we doing? Senior day is a tradition. It should always be your last home game. You get the flowers, you hug your coach, you hug your mom, you shake your dad's hand, hug your dad, and then go out there and play your last game. By moving senior day to the first game, you've got a whole season still ahead of you. I just don't agree with that. I think that's trying to help them get over the sometimes curse they have against Michigan. Sometimes. I think they're better than Michigan this year. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, so kind of a crazy move there by Ohio State. And that's our show. Guys, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. Over 20 plus viewers. I will gladly take it. I'm trying anything to get started here. Please follow me on YouTube. I have a 4th and 25 channel. This episode will be on there. Probably tonight, I guess. But it will be on there. And I'm also on Facebook. College Sports Villains. They'll be live tonight with their show. Might join them. I've been asked if I free. I'll see if I can get on there tonight. Andrew and those guys, they have a great show. They do a great job. They'll make you hungry. Talking about food. Nothing wrong with it though. But they'll be on there tonight with their show. A lot of their other good shows. Terry Walker's on there with his stuff. He does a great job. Vandy Chris, No Mercy Sports, and that entire crew. It's a good group of folks. Good content. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I do have an Instagram if you want to give me a follow. I'm trying to think. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, Down and Distance Discussion, College Football Discussion Group. My old group, the Spread College Football Discussion Group. It's all on there. There's people posting all kinds of content and articles. So please give us a like if you want to. Guys, I appreciate y'all so much. Let's close this thing out. Psalm 113, verse 3 from the Bible. From the rising of the sun unto the going down of the same, the Lord's name is to be praised. Praise him from sun up to sundown, and even at night. Amen. I give him the glory every day, because Lord knows I need him. I need him more than ever, every day. All glory to him, all praise to the man upstairs. Makes this all possible. Guys, I appreciate y'all so much. We'll be back Tuesday. G6 preview show. We will break down and preview the G6 conferences and give you our picks for those champions. And then next Thursday, our final show before the season starts, it will be our season kickoff show. We'll pick the Power 4 conference winners, preview them. And then to close that show out, you'll get my preseason top 25 and my playoff field and who I think is going to win the national title this year. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please stay cool, stay safe, and God bless you.